Let's take a look at how I have rigged up this trailer to haul a motorcycle. This is not the ideal setup for this particular bike and the way I have it tied down, but as a general guideline, this is how it would work. Usually what I would do is have the motorcycle tie down attached to the handlebars, and that would give a more angled pull. But because I strapped these down at some little loops that I installed on the lower triple clamps, I don't have much of an angle pull, so that's why I added this blue tie down. So ideally, these tie down points in the wall of the trailer would be best about another 8 inches forward, almost giving a straight even pull with the forks, the angle of the forks. But smaller bikes that I have do work okay with the location of those tie downs and strapping down to the handlebars. So what I did here was added 2 D-rings by drilling holes in the side of the trailer. And these are some really heavy-duty D-rings. On the outside I used nylock nuts, and on the inside I used carriage bolts. Up here at the front of the trailer, I took a scrap piece of plywood and then screwed down 2 pieces of 2x4 that are basically have a gap that's the width of my front tire. And that piece of plywood is wide enough where these portions of the sheet metal sidewall hold this plywood in place. But I didn't want to mount a wheel chock to the floor of the trailer because I use this trailer for a lot of different other things. And having a nice clean floor is important for hauling other stuff. So that's why I opted to use this little removable chock that I built out of some scrap lumber. Without this blue tie down here, the bike had a tendency to want to move backwards a little bit because these orange tie downs are almost vertical. And that's what I was kind of describing at the beginning of this video. But check out a link down in the description below on how I got my hands on one of these retired Home Depot rental trailers. These are not the original wheels. These wheels came off of a different trailer that I had, and I did put new tires on it when I started using it regularly about 6.5 months or so ago. These are Goodyear Endurance ST205/7515. Be sure to click another link down in the description below where I talk about comparing these tires to some other tires that were on a different trailer that I had. The Endurance tire from Goodyear replaced the Goodyear Marathon tire that had been in production for quite a few years, and the Endurance is a made in the USA tire. Now that the bike's out, let's take a closer look at this so you can see. Over there I've got a little bit of a gap, and I have about that big of a gap on the other side, so this will shift back and forth to either side. So when I move it to one side, I've got space here where I can pull this out. So this is how I remove this piece. And what was hidden behind the piece of plywood, there are some original D-rings. I didn't want to use those because they are a little bit too far forward in relation to the tie-down points that I would have on the bike, and wouldn't really give me enough side-to-side stability, plus the fact that they aren't mounted all the way out to the sides of the trailer. So that's why I mounted those. But of course, with the motorcycle that I was showing earlier, having tie-down points just a little bit further forward would be a better situation. I do also like to use this rubber bed mat. It's left over from various other trailers that I've had it in. It keeps the rear tire from bouncing back and forth. On a long trip, I would probably put 1, maybe 2 tie-down straps on the rear of the bike to keep it that much more stable, just to keep it from bouncing back and forth side to side. But generally for shorter trips, that rubber bed mat does a really good job of keeping the bike in position.